Hey friends, welcome back to the Gubba Homestead. I'm Gubba and today we are going to be processing apples. I have a mound of organic, locally grown apples that I need to get processed, and I thought, what better way to process apples than to turn them into applesauce? There's a lot of great ways to process apples. You can do apple pie filling, freeze dry them, dehydrate them, but I am really wanting some applesauce to add to my food storage. I'm all out because I ate it all. So I need to start processing apples so that I can have that through the winter and into the spring and into next season when I have apples again. Behind me, I have my digital pressure canner, which we are going to be using. This canner is absolutely amazing. It does water bath canning and pressure canning. So we will be using it for water bath canning. And in front of me, I have all of these beautiful apples, small to big. We are not going to leave out these tiny little apples. These are from a neighbor's and these are from a local orchard, which I have a cool story to share. For my tools, I have this little apple peeler corer, which is so cool. It just suction cups to the table. It peels your apples, it cores them, and trust me, if you are processing a lot of apples, this is a great tool to have. One year I processed apples with just a knife and a peeler, and yeah, I decided never again. I have a little glass pie dish to catch the peels and the cores. I think we're definitely gonna overflow that. And then just my saucepan. This is the only one that I have actually, which we will fill and make our applesauce in. So let's get started. So to use this tool, which again is a lifesaver, you just crank it back, you push the apple on, and then you just crank it forward, and you're gonna see it's gonna peel, which from the peels you can make apple cider vinegar and you can make apple scrap jelly. And just like that, you have an accordion of apples, and sometimes little seeds will be in there, which is fine. I actually try to eat these seeds whenever I'm eating an apple, but I don't want them in my applesauce. And I just put the scraps, put that one to the side for the chickens later, and I just put the scraps into here, which we are obviously going to overflow. And then we will, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do apple cider vinegar to have for the winter because I'm running low. We're gonna fill this pot up until it's full. I might have multiple batches of apples. We will see how this goes. Look at how small that is. I got invited to go to my neighbor's this last weekend to pick apples. That's such a great community builder. You go, you chat. He was really stoked because he had so many apples on his tree he wanted to share. And again, all natural, all organic, never been sprayed. Unfortunately for me this year, my apple trees did not do that great, and my favorite apple tree split in half during a windstorm. Literally, the trunk went like this and one side just whoop. But I'm hoping the other half will survive. And then these big apples are from a local organic orchard, which is really cool because organic's important to me. I want food, preferably, that is not sprayed. I look forward to these days all year when fresh produce is coming in and I get to can up yummy treats for the winter. And this fall, it was really exciting because I visited an all organic orchard ran by an older gentleman, and we just had this time where we got to talk about my orchard and things that he has learned over the years. And I thought it was so fantastic to know that this knowledge is still in the community. This knowledge of how to grow an orchard, how to care for an orchard, how to deal with compost, all of these things are so valuable that have been lost because of convenience. But now I am able to take this wonderful produce that this gentleman took his precious time to care for and can it up to nourish myself and my family. If you want to learn how to can, I have a canning course where I walk you through all the ins and outs of canning so you feel comfortable about canning. I know it can be a little daunting because you've probably seen the videos where the canners explode, you've heard the stories or the food spoils and you're worried about botulism, but I break all of this down for you in my canning course and get you comfortable so you can start canning food in your kitchen. I feel like this is so vital and critical, especially now with everything going on in the world. You want to have a food storage that has a variety of food preservation methods so you are not just relying on, for example, a freezer to store all of your food, because if the power goes out, you're in trouble. You need to have a variety, and canning is amazing because you can just have these shelf-stable meals ready to go. All right, we finally have a full pot of apples, and I soon realized I need a bigger, like, stainless steel pot because with the food preservation I do, that would make it so much easier because I could just do it all in one, but we'll have to do multiple batches, which is fine because this will cook down for about 20 minutes. I'll get my canner going. My canner will keep the jarred food warm till we're ready to can. So let's just see how this goes. I'm going to put a splash of water in here to make sure that the apples don't scorch. This will cook down for about 20 minutes. We'll keep an eye on it, then we'll add in our spices, our lemon juice, and make it delicious however we want to taste. And I will get my canner set up. This is so easy, so let's do it. So right now you can hear the bubbling of the water, so it's boiling, but there is steam that is coming up and starting to make the apples on the top soft. So they are slowly starting to sink down as they cook, and it smells so good, and we haven't even added spices yet. Our applesauce is now cooked down. I'm going to add lemon juice because it needs to be acidic, and lemon juice will help with that. I'm gonna add in these spices until my heart is content. So we're gonna be seasoning with our heart until the applesauce tastes good, and then we'll put it into the jars and into the canner. And man, it is hot in here. It's been so hot just from my oven or my stovetop running, and so that's why I'm so happy I have that electric canner, so then I don't have to have the stovetop to keep running for a water bath canner. I filled this canner with all the jars that I'll be canning. It holds 8 pints, so I think we're gonna have 8 pints. With all this, we will. We're just gonna see. Because sometimes when it comes to recipes, it'll tell you, oh, 10 pounds of apples, 12 pounds of apples. Well, I just had bags of apples. So that's what we're going on. Here in the Gubba kitchen, we are just winging it, which is totally okay. So I hope you feel comfortable. And if you want to feel comfortable canning, you don't know how to can, I have a canning course where I take you through the science of canning, all the different canners, how to can like a pro, and be comfortable canning. Whether you're pressure canning, water bath canning, whatever in your kitchen, I want to make you a pro at canning because it's such a great way to build a food storage, because I am so looking forward to having this applesauce through the winter, and I want that same thing for everyone. So when it comes to applesauce, you can use a water bath canner, or you can use a digital pressure canner, and you could even use your actual pressure canner. But I love my Presto digital canner because it makes things so easy. It just does all the work for you. You don't have to sit and babysit it. All you have to do is prepare the canner, and that just means filling it up with the necessary amount of water. There is a line in there that tells you how much, the maximum amount of water that you need. And then instead of having to warm up and sterilize your jars like in the dishwasher or in the stove or wherever, you can just put your jars into the canner and it warms them up for you and keeps your jars warm, especially if you are canning something that is hot, like this applesauce that is going to be coming right off the stove. You need to have warm jars, or else you could shock the jars, meaning that you're putting something cold into a hot jar, or you are putting something hot into a cold jar, and that temperature difference is going to be a disaster in your kitchen because you are going to end up with exploded jars and food all over the kitchen or your counters. But that is why you prepare. That is why you do a course like my canning course that walks you through these things so you don't have to learn the hard way. Trust me, it is not a fun cleanup when a jar explodes, and it's good to be aware of that. that. But again, I love this canner, but it is electrical. So that is one downside. If the power goes out, I would need a generator or something backup to run this. Whereas my other canners, I could run on a gas stove, but for convenience, this canner is amazing. So it warms up the jars and then it lets me know when it is ready for me to fill the jars. And in the meantime, we've been working on this applesauce, and let me tell you, I love chunky applesauce. It is so good. I'm not a huge fan of like super pureed applesauce, but you can do you. You can super puree it. You can have it chunky like I am. You can season it with the spices that your heart desires, or you don't have to add any spices. I love the cinnamon, the allspice, the clove, the ginger, really just adding in all those flavors so it's not plain. But again, you can do whatever your heart desires. And it is important that you will want to have warm lids. And when you are loading and filling up your jars, there is a chance that there could be residue that gets on the rim of your lids, and that can impact the seals. So there's all these things that you need to be aware of while canning, but I promise once you get your foot in the door and you just start doing it, start with something like applesauce, and before you know it, you're going to be canning up meat and other things. So we got all of our jars filled to the brim with this delicious applesauce. I mean, I'm already picturing like pork chops and putting this applesauce on, and we loaded them into the canner to can. This is my last filled jar of applesauce. We got 6 pints, which I am super happy about. We're gonna get the canner started, clean up a little bit, and just let this canner go to town. It is so hot in here from having my oven run. Canning in the summer here in my kitchen is quite interesting because, man, I'm over here sweating. So I'm gonna get water poured on top of here, get the canner going. If you wanna know how I can with this, again, I have a full course walking you through all the details, but I'm gonna put water on and get going. So I have to add time to the recipe that I am using because of my elevation. So that's always something to be aware of. I go over that in my course so you can feel comfortable. I remember being so nervous about that because you need to have accurate times to ensure that the food is canned properly. So while the food was canning, I went out and tossed some food to my goats. I tossed some scraps to my chickies, and I just love being out here and doing some farm chores. So you can see my day is always weaving in and out, seeing if my animals need food, doing the chores that are inside. I have to do all the cleanup from the kitchen and from the canning, and I have all these apple scraps that I need to figure out, do I want to make apple cider vinegar? Do I want to do apple peel jelly? But I got to check my food storage because I think I have a lot of jelly. The canner is done. While my applesauce was canning, I went and fed the goats. I refreshed everybody's water. I fed the dogs, and I gave the chickens some scraps. Everybody was very, very happy. So now is the big reveal to see how many jars are sealed. I'm hoping for 6 out of 6, but we will see. These will sit undisturbed for 24 hours. And then after 24 hours, we will test the lids. The lid should be down, it shouldn't pop. But so far, it's looking great. Like the lids are sealed. And we have some beautiful, delicious, yummy, yummy, yummy applesauce. Look at that. I am so happy. All of that work for 6 pints, you might be thinking, yes. I know the ingredients that went into this. I know the processing. And this is good food. This is heart food. It is worth it. Whenever I have the time and I can can like this, I love adding to my food storage. Now I could expand. Like earlier when I was saying I could get a big stainless steel pot. I'm so surprised I don't have one yet. And I would have been able to do all of my apples at once. I would have needed multiple canners going, or I could have done this back to back to back, because as you can see, I constantly have projects. I still have to go milk my goats. I have to go clean up some messes and take care of my pup who had her Achilles torn. I will have more on that soon as that story unravels, but thank you so much I appreciate you. Thank you for spending this afternoon with me. I hope to see you guys next time, and don't do anything a Gubba wouldn't do. Bye!